the Zoom call. Please be sure you log on to kctigerclub.com. If you have not renewed your membership for this season, please do. That is our main source of income during the season until we have our golf tournament. You also can see who our sponsors are, and that we really appreciate their support. As always, this will be recorded for YouTube, so encourage your friends to go and watch it. And also, when you go to our website, check out our online auction. We still have a Lot A parking pass available for the upcoming football season, and a lot of other good Mizzou memorabilia, including some seats, plus some seats in the Bunker Club. So one more thing, the Mizzou Alumni Association in Kansas City will be hosting their Tiger Tailgate on September the 25th at 4:30, and you can find more information on that at their website. So with that all said, Desiree, welcome. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you. Candidly, I wish we were in person. I can't wait to get up to Kansas City, and I can't wait to meet all of you. I'm sure you're all tired of Zoom. But it's a true privilege to be here. My husband is Josh and my son is Jackson. They're staying behind in Las Vegas. It's my son's senior year. And so we worked it out, and they're going to stay behind, but they're going to be coming up once a month. And they're going to be here for our home opener. So I'm really excited for our home opener, and I'm excited to see my husband and son. So, Mark, do you want me to just start talking? Do you want to take questions? How would you like to do this?
I'll throw you a few questions, and then at the end of the period, we'll take a couple questions from our audience over the chat feature, if that's okay. So, first of all, I just want to talk. You were hired August 8th. I know in your job there is no dead time of the year, but you couldn't have been hired at a busier time of the year. Talk about your first 3 weeks on the job.
Well, this is my 7th day in the office. I was given the privilege when they extended the offer to me on that Sunday. It was funny. I called my husband and my son, and I told my son, I said, well, I know that you were the family's first commit. Jackson's going to be a walk-on to Mizzou basketball. And I said, I know you were the first commit, and I know that you thought you were going away for college to get away from your family. But surprise, how would you feel if your mother was the athletic director? And he paused for a very long moment, and he's like, really, seriously? And I said yes. And my husband, we were all just really emotional and really happy. And then I got to the airport, and I was in St. Louis. And I got to the airport, and on the flight next to me was our women's soccer team. And they didn't know that I was going to be their new athletic director, and I was dying to talk to them. And so I was watching them and seeing how their interplay, and I have really bad eyesight, and I couldn't see far enough. So I took a picture of the women's soccer coach, and I thought that's who it was. And I sent it to a friend of mine. I'm like, is this women's soccer? But anyway, and then the news all started breaking that Sunday. It's just been hitting the ground running ever since. We had SEC league meetings. That following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I went home, packed up to Las Vegas Thursday, Friday, and then I moved here last Sunday when we had freshman orientation. And like I said, it is day 7 in the office. And the one thing that has struck me is just what incredible people I have met. Just really kind, honest, nice, good people who want to see Mizzou win championships. And that has been really, really special.
You have a very impressive resume, 25 years in college athletics. You've worked in about every time zone. And you bring, I think, new outside perspective to Mizzou. What is your vision for Mizzou, and how do you see Mizzou's brand today and in the future?
Sure. What we've said and what we've shared is we want to be the hardest working, most innovative team. We want people to look at Mizzou athletics and say, you know what, that is a place that we want to be. Now, we know that this community, that you all want to win championships. You wouldn't be invested in this program. You wouldn't care so much. And I know you want to win championships the right way. And that's what we're going to be about. We're going to be about graduating leaders. We're going to be about winning championships the right way. And we want to run a really good business. But we're going to be part of running a very good business and understanding with a grateful heart how important Mizzou athletics is to our community is being out in our community. I hope you may have seen yesterday, we debuted that on Friday, we're hoping everybody was going to wear their black and gold. Take your pictures, send them in on social. It just matters because we know that Mizzou athletics is so much more than just our 550 student athletes and our 200 plus staff members. We want Mizzou athletics to represent our entire state, our region, and I know there's Tigers throughout the world. So in terms of what I want our athletic department to be, it's a team, but it's a team that comes to work with a humble heart and a grateful spirit, and that's going to outwork everybody because you know what? We can control that. We can control our innovative spirit, and we can control how we're going to make others around us better.
It seemed the hiring process for you went pretty quickly, and there was an immediate connection. What attracted you to the job?
Well, like I said, we came on an unofficial visit with my son in June. So I had seen Missouri. One of my former bosses, he worked at Missouri with Babcock, and so I had heard about Missouri. I had seen it when Missouri was entering the Southeastern Conference. I'm very familiar with the conference. The former commissioner, Mike Slive, was a mentor of mine, so I know the conference really well. And I hold Commissioner Sankey in very high regard. So I knew the conference affiliation. I knew it's the best conference in the entire country. I knew the AAU and the academic reputation because, quite frankly, I had researched it as a mother. My son wants to be a journalism major. So I've got my Mizzou mom shirt. And so I knew it from that lens. But then I also knew it as an athletic administrator, and I just saw incredible opportunity. I thought this is the state's land grant flagship institution. There is so much energy and momentum around this football program, around just the entire, what the athletic department could be. And there is so much greatness. There's such a great foundation here. And so we're just going to work really, really hard to continue to take what's already here and continue to grow it. But one thing I do know is that the only way that you get to great is if we all do it together. I had the privilege of working with Coach Summit when I was at the University of Tennessee. And that's one thing that Pat would talk about. Pat could never do it by herself. You have to have your community, and community is a contact sport. So know that we're going to be out there trying to get to know you all. I know we ask a lot of you, but we know we have a responsibility to serve you as well. And then our board and our president, our athletic department, we all have to be on the same page because we can't do it by ourselves.
The changes in college athletics you've seen the last few years are coming at warp speed. A couple of things I'd like to ask you about. Name, image, and likeness. What do you see? How does Missouri fit in with big time money programs like Alabama, Georgia? How do we compete for kids when the quarterback at Alabama already has $1 million in endorsements?
I think it's a great opportunity. I talked about being the hardest working, most innovative athletic department. Name, image, and likeness is an opportunity for our student athletes. It's an opportunity for education. Now we have an opportunity. We have 550 student athletes. We have 550 entrepreneurs. We have 550 young people who recognize how important their brand is and how important the Mizzou brand is. And you know what? They connect with students that are important for us. Those are future Mizzou students in a way that my Twitter does not. So when you look at our student athletes, that's a whole new market. So I see it as it's a great opportunity. It's a great benefit. Our legislators did a great job in our bill here in our state. So we've been working very hard to make sure that we're taking advantage of those opportunities.
Other challenges coming up, conference realignment continues to be a work in progress. Last week, the Big Ten, Pac-12, ACC had this meeting. What did that all mean and versus the Southeastern Conference?
Well, like I said, at my press conference, the Southeastern Conference is the best conference, make no mistake about it, in the entire country. We are very fortunate to be aligned with institutions both those that are coming in 2025 and those that are currently part of our membership. In terms of the alliance that the three other A5 conferences formed, they're probably the best ones to speak about that. But what I do know is that we all share a commonality of interests. Specifically, we all want our student athletes to win championships, have an incredible holistic experience, and we want to be great representatives of our communities.
The other challenge, of course, is operating in a post-COVID world. We're not going to have any attendance restrictions initially. Is there possibility that could change as the season goes on?
The one thing that I do know about COVID is that it has tested our ability to be nimble. It has tested our ability to be flexible. We do not have any restrictions currently. If people aren't vaccinated, we ask them to wear the mask in our games. Health and safety will always be our top priority. And so right now, we don't have any additional restrictions other than that. But you know what? We are always going to be mindful of the pandemic and COVID-19's impact on our respective communities. And so we'll work very closely with our campus colleagues and our state and local health officials.
You obviously spent some time at Tennessee and are well acquainted with the SEC. Right now, where would you say Mizzou's facilities line up with the rest of the conference?
There are some incredible facilities. The south end zone is fantastic. We've done some renovations in basketball, both men's and women's, that I'm really excited about showing people. The indoor practice facility is going to be very, very special. So in terms of a full comprehensive analysis on where we are across the board, I'm day 7. So I got lost coming out of the parking lot, literally today. Yeah, don't judge. But know that looking at and evaluating our facilities, that's a high priority for us. But I know there's some incredible ones.
What's the timeline on the indoor practice facility completion? Do you know?
That's a great question. And I see Susan on here. So I am going to pass that question to Susan.
I think that we plan to be have had the groundbreaking yet by now for the indoor facility, but the cost of building materials and more importantly, the availability of building materials has delayed that a bit. So I don't know that they have an actual concrete, we can say it's going to be breaking will occur at this time, but I think we're looking more towards the end of the year is what I have been told.
Okay.
So Mark, what we'll do is the next time, if you'll have me on again, the next time I'll come with a little more specifics.
Okay. Anytime you are welcome. So we're going to take a couple questions from the audience here while we still have you, but I do want to ask you your background, your brother and his story and how it has inspired you, if you wouldn't mind sharing that with us.
Sure. So I'm tall, but I'm really uncoordinated. My brother, however, was the beautiful athlete in our family. He's 3 years younger than I am. And my first year in law school, on September 10th of 1994, my brother, he was a Prop 48. He had bad grades. And so he went to junior college. He went to Chabot Junior College in Hayward, California. And on September 10th of 1994, in a fluke accident, he broke his neck playing football and became a quadriplegic. The accident impacted our family. And quite frankly, it was our faith, our family, and football that helped us persevere and move forward. My brother he was married. He has 3 beautiful children. My oldest nephew graduated from Cal. He played baseball there. And then I have a middle nephew who's 17 and I have a niece who's 11. My brother has challenges every day. Just getting out of bed is a challenge. My dad helps take care of him. I lost my mother on April 7th of 2020. And if anything, Roman's story and the struggles he has and his resilience inspires me. We will be an athletic department that is based upon our student athletes. What is best for our student athletes will always be the center of our decision-making process. And that's not just something an administrator says, that's just part of my DNA because I've seen what Roman has gone through. I want my student athletes to have a world-class experience because, quite frankly, my brother never did. So that fuels me. And I'm inspired.
Okay, I'm going to take a couple questions from our viewers, if you are ready, while we have you. First question is, what was the biggest surprise you encountered on taking the AD job?
Oh boy, that's a great question. Surprise. I was struck meeting our student athletes. I was struck just by how special they are. I met one of the first people I met. I met with the staff, and I was trying to find where my office was, and I was wandering around the arena, and I see a young lady, and I said, "Excuse me, do you happen to know where the athletic director's office is? I'm supposed to be there." And so her name was Samantha from swimming, and so she walked me through, and we had a wonderful conversation. And I was struck by how special she is, and it was really moving. So I guess my student athletes always touch my heart.
Next question. One of your goals at UNLV was attracting more students to home football games. Will that be a focus at Mizzou as well?
Yes, but quite frankly, I haven't looked at the analytics yet on our student attendance. So I say that with a little bit of an ignorant lens, and that I don't know how long I can keep saying this is only day 7, but I'm going to use it for as long as I can. But there is a lot that I have to learn, and there's a lot that I have to observe, and a lot of listening I need to do.
You made a couple hires yesterday. You want to tell us about those?
Sure. I talked about being hard workers, and we hired 2 incredible people who have high integrity, who are incredibly hardworking, very prepared, and they have a can-do problem-solving spirit. Ryan Coslin comes to us from the University of Cincinnati. He has worked with their football program and was promoted to their associate athletic director. He will now be our senior associate athletic director and will be in charge of our content creation and our communications. He's a pro, and I think you all will really like him. Our second hire is Greg Hewlin, and Greg Hewlin comes to us from UNLV, where he spent, I think, all of 6 weeks, and then surprise, let's go to Missouri. But Greg Hewlin, I worked with Greg at the University of Tennessee, where he spent 13 years leading their fundraising operation. He then went to Florida State and worked with their Seminole Club, and then we hired him at UNLV. So they are both seasoned pros, both high integrity people, and who are going to work very hard and also come with a humble spirit.
You have certainly hit the ground running. I am so impressed with what you've accomplished. And I know we're throwing a lot of questions at you, and you haven't been on the job that long. So I hope you don't mind. So
yeah, remember when I said I wanted to come back? I'm rethinking that. No, I'm just kidding.
Here's a question. We love your aspirational vision in general. Do you have a couple of foundational factors that are important to elevate a culture and brand?
Starts with people. People, that's the best. We're in the people business, and we've got to recruit incredible people who, like I said, when I was describing Greg and Ryan Coslin, people who are going to represent this great state, come to work every day with a humble heart, that are going to outwork our competitors, that are going to do it with an innovative spirit. But it always starts and ends with our people, then our culture. What are our habits? What are our standards of performance? And Susan may tell you as an aside, but if we're going to represent actually, maybe Susan, why don't you describe? You've been here. I've worked with you all of 7 days. What do you see in terms of our culture?
I see that you are bringing a lot of energy, a lot of compassion. You expect, you have high standards, which I feel like should be expected of our staff. And what is most impressive to me is that you are not expecting anyone to work any harder than you are willing to do. And that's a breath of fresh air. I think that you talk a lot about innovative and finding ways to make things happen, even if they seem impossible, is what I get from that. So I just, from the staff perspective, I have a lot of excitement and feel like we're really lucky to have you here.
Well, thank you. I swear I didn't tee her up on that one. But one thing.
No, you didn't.
No. And one thing that on my first day, and I don't know if I can, well, I'll just say I've already committed. But on my first day, I went and I spoke with the staff, and a young person came in and they were wearing this bright Kentucky blue shirt. And I can tell you that we're going to start so I called the person out and I just said, hey, you know what? Kentucky's not signing your paycheck. So let's represent our black and gold. And so I do know that at the very least, I've noticed that we're all starting to proudly wear our colors.
Next question. What's the story behind your son committing to the basketball team, and how was that connection made from Las Vegas?
Okay, first, I don't want it to make it sound like my son is a 5-star recruit. So please know that my son is like the straight A student on the edge of like number 12 on the bench, that his senior year, when he starts the game and gets like 3 minutes, everyone's going to be like, oh, way to go, Jackson. You were the great practice player. And that's what Jackson is. Jackson is the consummate team player. He's about 6'5". He's a shooting guard. And he plays for a school called Bishop Gorman out in Las Vegas. We have known the Martin family, quite frankly, when we were at the University of Tennessee, and I was on the hiring team that hired Coach Martin from Missouri State. There was a moment when my boss asked me, Mike Hamilton asked me, which of these two candidates, and I said, Conzo Martin is someone I would want my son to play for. And that moment struck me. And so when I have hired subsequent coaches, I've always thought about that. I'm a huge data-driven person, and I always have thousands of metrics I'm looking at. But in the end, these 550 student athletes are someone's sons and daughters. And who do I want? No one impacts our student athletes more than our coaches. So I knew of Conzo from the University of Tennessee. He was a mentor to Jackson. We have stayed in contact with their family. And when it came down to looking at schools, Jackson was looking at a school out west. And then we came on our visit June, I think 4th and 5th or 5th and 6th of this year. And he fell in love with Mizzou. I loved the academics, and I knew that Conzo Martin was someone that would mentor my son and have the same values.
Got just a couple minutes left, and I want to ask you one more thing. You have worked with some true legends in college athletics. Pat Summitt, you mentioned, Frank Beamer. Who else has been a real inspiration to you in your career?
Bill Walsh was someone that when I was first starting out, he was a mentor of mine. I'm a product of the 80s in San Francisco. So every little girl in the 80s, like every young person in the 80s, we all love 49er football. I'm sorry, those of you who do not. But I grew up a 49er fan, and my family, we would go to mass. We would figure out which mass we would go to based upon the 49er schedule. We would either go to the 7:30 mass, or we would go to the 1 o'clock mass if the 49ers were playing at 10:30. But so some of my fondest memories were of the 49ers, and Coach Walsh obviously was the architect behind that. He's also a San Jose State graduate, and I worked at San Jose State right out of law school. We were doing a Hall of Fame project, and my job was to go to Coach Walsh at the time was the special assistant. He was out of coaching at that time. So I would go every Thursday for lunch with Coach Walsh, and we would, under the guise, quite frankly, of planning this Hall of Fame project. But I really just loved learning from him, and it was a true privilege. And what I learned from him was the attention to detail. And he would tell me the difference between excellence and failure is it's a game of inches. And so that attention to detail is so critically important. And I learned that from Coach Walsh.
Interesting you mentioned him. My first job out of college was in the athletic department at Stanford after graduating from Mizzou, and he was the coach there for 2 years that he before he went to the 49ers. His attention to detail was so evident back then. So that's a great guy, great person to model your career after. So We only have a couple minutes left. I want to be respectful of your time because we appreciate so much you joining us today. We know your schedule has just got to be absolutely crazy. Give us a little boost before the opener on Saturday.
I am fired up. Okay, so yesterday we went and I had our marketing team play some of the deliverables in game. I'm big on in-game entertainment, and I wanted to at least see what the opening was, et cetera. I mean, I came from Virginia Tech. We had Sam in. I wanted to see, all right, what's our opening look like? And they played it, and I just got chills. So I cannot wait until Saturday. I know that we've got one of our top, I think the top ranked recruiting class. I know we are returning 20 starters. I think 8 on offense, 8 on defense, 4 on special teams. So this is not going to be a walk in the park. This is a really good team that's coming in. So it's going to be a test, but I am so excited and I cannot wait to meet all of you. So thank you for letting me spend a few moments. I can't wait until we're all in person too.
Well, we'll be playing KU in basketball here in December, and maybe you could come up and see us before that. That's possible.
I would love that. And well, I'll just save my KU story for when I see you all in person. Okay. But yes, I will. So, all right. Thank you for having me.
Desiree, thank you so much. We wish you the best of luck, and we are so excited to have you.
Thank you.
Take it. That's Athletics Director Desiree Reed-Francois. And again, we are so pleased to have her, and we're going to take just a quick break here.